Welcome everyone to the Bowling University studio from the International Bowling Campus here in Arlington, Texas. This is the Profit Break. If you're joining us for the first time, we're glad you're here. Give us 15 minutes and you're going to be well on your way to improving not only yourself, but your profitability. Now, the age-old question of whether leaders are born or made has been debated for years. Now, according to Hall of Fame football coach Vince Lombardi, leaders aren't born, in fact, they are made. True leadership comes through experience, determination, and passion. Now, while some of us are blessed with certain leadership skills, I do believe, Coach Lombardi, that leadership skills can be learned. Now, on today's show, we're going to unpack what it takes to develop those leadership skills as part of our three-part Bowling University Leadership Series. Let's get started. Now, if you haven't had a chance to view one of our first two episodes, I'd encourage you to take a moment and go back and view those, but we're going to do just a quick recap before we jump into part 3 of our series here. Now, we started off this journey together in episode 1, where we talked about the 3 levels of people and where they are at. At level 1 are the doers, and we need doers. We need folks to get things done. That level 2, that's when you're starting to grow and you're helping people get things done and not doing them all yourselves. That's often where folks are in their management and supervision stage. Again, nothing wrong with that. We need managers and supervisors and shift leaders and all the folks that help others get things done. And that's a level we refer to as compliant. Now, when you get to level 3, that's when you're responsible for developing others, and that really is the beginning of the leadership journey. When you're responsible for developing others, you now are going from being compliant to gaining commitment, and that's what we want. So we covered that in episode 1. We also took a little bit of time and talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and brought you back to your psych days of psychology class, those of you who studied this in school, about the 5 motivators from Abraham Maslow. Now, as we discussed in the first episode, this is not necessarily a requirement to be a good manager or supervisor, but it absolutely is a must if you're going to be a leader. If you're going to be responsible for developing others, you need to understand this, not only for yourself, but meeting people where they're at. So if you're new to any of that or you need a refresher, go back and check out episode 1 because we cover that in some more detail. Now in episode 2, we jumped into something that is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that is this whole idea of attitude versus behavior. Can you, in fact, change someone's attitude? And the answer to that is no. And if you're still not sure whether you're with me on that, I encourage you to go back and visit episode 2 because we took a much, much deeper dive in what that looks like. But just know that try as you might, the only person that can change their attitude is that person, but you can, in fact, influence their behavior. So if you need a refresher on that, go back and check out episode 2. But today, what I really would like to jump into is this idea of the 4 stages of career development. And every one of us, myself included, we fall somewhere on this spectrum. And I've just named the stages very simply because I want to boil this down, give you some quick, easy tips, easy things to remember, no fancy definitions. In stage 1, that's the early career stage. We call that the stage of self-knowledge. That's when you are really, in the activities you're doing, you're accepting direction. You need to know the how to do these things. And you are, in the relationship, you're dependent. You're dependent on others. You're dependent on others to share with you, to show you, to teach you, and think about yourself. I love the example of parenting in small children. If you have somebody that's new in a task, right, they're in stage 1. Some of you in your leadership journey, you may be at stage 1. You by watching this series, you are accepting direction. You're dependent on books and classes and different ways to learn about leadership, and that's okay. Stage, but you are going to soon be moving on to stage 2, and some of you are there right now, and that's where you get into the step of managing and exploration. You now are starting to get some comfort, establish expertise in the things that you're doing in this whole journey of understanding how to supervise others and lead others and give them tasks and make sure that they're followed up. And you're looking for a little independence, right? You're independent on getting the things that you need to get done. Not much different than the team that you lead. Many of them are at a stage and an experience level where they're independent. Then we jump into our 3rd stage, is where we start the beginning of this thing called leadership. Now we are responsible for starting to develop others. And now we have the incredible responsibility of others, and that changes everything. It's one thing to be responsible for yourself. It's another thing to be responsible for others. And again, from the personal standpoint, you use the example of parenting. You know, you have this incredible responsibility of others, not just yourself. And as I've mentioned in the last previous 2 episodes, I love the study of this because these soft skills not only apply to you as a person in your work, but also in your professional development as well. These are life skills. They're not just for your job or for your career. You're leading your family. You're leading, people you're responsible for, whether that's at work or at home. And some of you may be in this spot right now where you're beginning that journey of leading others and developing others. Now, for those of us that study leadership and aspire to leadership, this stage 4 is where it gets to be really fun, because now you are shaping organizational direction. You are having an impact. And if you think back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is that self-actualization stage, that highest stage that we can hope to get to. And, it's not easy to get to, but when you do, it's very rewarding and very fulfilling, because now in the relationship, you're exercising power. And what I mean by that is not power in the sense that we think about it in a negative connotation of telling people what to do and enforcing our will. I'm talking about power that you have in influencing others, right? You not only have the responsibility, you have the ability and the power to start influencing others. You're starting to do things like vision, mission, forming strategy. And this gets to be a very exciting part. Now, one key point that I want to make here on this stage 4, you might be thinking to yourself that, well, I'm not really in a leadership position because I don't supervise a lot of people. There is no correlation to the level of stage that you're at and the number of people you're responsible for. You can be at stage 4 today and only be responsible for 2 people. Where 2 or more gather, they need a leader, right? So don't think that you can't learn these tactics and skills and techniques, that it has to be dependent upon you having a large group, because it doesn't. In fact, you can be a team of 3 or 4, and you can set your own vision and your own mission and your own strategic direction, right? So learning these skills, in fact, I love learning these skills when you're working with smaller groups, because you have some margin of error, because you're gonna stub your toe, and we're all gonna make mistakes as we go through there. But understanding these stages for yourself is critical for your leadership journey. And then the last thing that I want to share with you as we wrap this whole series up is, as you understand those 4 stages for yourself, it gets really exciting when you can start to understand them for others. And there's a great resource here. Ken Blanchard, legendary leadership author and guru, has a program called Leadership and the 1-Minute Manager. And he refers to this thing called situational leadership, different strokes for different folks. And once you understand where you are in your stage, then understanding your team members and where they are in their respective stage allows you to apply the right leadership strategy to where they're at and meet your team where they're at. And outside the scope of what we cover here in our 3-part series, but if you're interested in that, highly recommend the book. We cover that at our management school as well there. So I hope you enjoyed that 3-part series. If you'd like to learn more about leadership and developing your specific leadership skills, I'd encourage you to make plans to join us here at the campus for one of our management schools. You can connect with us anytime at education@bpa.com for more information. So as we wrap up another edition of the Profit Break, remember, when your focus is on growing people, people will grow your business every time. This episode, as well as all our previous Profit Break episodes, available 24/7 for you and the team at bolinuniversity.net. Now, we have new episodes every month. Mark your calendar, watch your email. Join us on Facebook to hear about all the latest topics. Until then, I'm Bart Berger, and remember, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. We'll see you next time.